Hello, welcome to Dan Chat. My name is Chris Morrow. This is episode 30, Ants and Aphids, where I'm just basically talking about ants and aphid relations to them. So, we begin by just looking at, taking one last look at the spring wildflowers. This is Trillium luteum, which is on its way out. You can see all the flower petals have just basically, folded up, but I thought it was neat because it's the longest lasting of the trilliums. And now we're looking at Golden Alexander, which is in the carrot family. You can actually get the black swallowtail on this plant, but I never get those at all any year, and you can see it's kind of like a weird little puffball thing. Not the showiest plant, but it's kind of neat looking in its way. But here's what we're actually going after here, because it is actually targeted by aphids, and where there are aphids, typically there are ants. But this plant also doubles as allowing the ants to steal nectar. And this is, I thought it was Tapenomys sessile at first, but now that I look at this, I'm thinking Lasius elanius. But the type of Lasius elanius that doesn't have the yellow legs as often, I noticed that there's two, types of it kind of floating around. At least in my yard. Maybe it's just, from colony to colony. But you can see here all the aphids just, they multiply over maybe, a short period of a couple of weeks. And we get lots of ants just taking advantage of them. The aphids kind of have an upswing in this period of springtime, and it benefits the ants because they're looking for as soon as summer rolls in, they're not going to have too many food sources, and carbohydrates, being sugars and all, they store pretty easily within inside the social stomach. You can see here we have a close-up of the ants in question. And I also found these on a tree, eastern redbud. You can see the aphids always go right for the where the leaf attaches to the stem. And later we have, in a previous episode, I think I had Cremidigaster karasi on a viburnum, and I've taken more pictures to that to show that effect. These were aphids. I think at the time I'd mentioned that they might be going after extra floral nectar. Turns out there are aphids that go after a viburnum, so that's kind of neat. What I was most surprised to find was Tetramorium going after aphids that were, in a, pretty much, I have a Joe Pye weed that was planted in a way too dry of a spot, and that's where the Tetramorium like to be. Other insects are also waking up that may have some sort of relationship with a plant. For example, leafhoppers. And I think something related to a leafhopper, I'm not up with this, is the spittlebug. Spittlebugs, basically, it looks like that picture that you were just looking at, but I believe most of them are pretty much green. But when they start feeding on the plant, they produce this sort of froth that they just kind of soak around in, and in the middle of all that stuff there should be an insect. I didn't bother to poke through it, but basically they just create a foamy mess just to discourage anything from eating them. On another plant we had a Formica species that's running around here on my native plum tree. You can see the spikes on this thing get quite big, though they also double somewhat as branches. Really the spike itself is maybe an inch long, but if there's nothing really growing on that branch, it sure looks like it's growing at 6 or so. And that is another type of Camponotus. I can actually eyeball these things and just kind of know what they are. So this one is Formica subsericea, or subsericea. Subsericea? Yeah, subsericea. We'll go with that. Alright, Formica subsericea, which is, basically that's what I'm just going by. I'm just, I should have it at a CF or something at the end of that, just because it's, I don't actually know how to identify that species from Formica fusca itself. The easiest way I know is that Formica fusca has a queen that's about the same size as the worker, while Formica subsericea has a queen that's, almost twice the size of the worker, so you get a lot of different action here. And we're just looking at this mostly bare tree, just because I need to demonstrate a point here. Yes, I'm also getting fruit off of this. So we have these ants running around here. You can see there's almost nothing really going on with these leaves here. We have an ant running at the camera every so often, but really there's not a whole lot going on. You can't even see any aphids or anything like that going on here. There, nothing really happening. So it raises the question: well, why are the ants on the tree at all? They must be getting some sort of food. And sure enough, there are the occasional aphid here and there. But it suddenly didn't happen. it didn't occur to me that there were like so many until like about a couple weeks later. You can see that we're on a different day now. This is maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, and you can see a lot more Formica ants here. And you know, I had the question like, what caused this sudden upswing in interest? And I realized that some parts of the tree were actually turning black, specifically underneath. And that's usually a sign of like too much sugar on the plant, just too much stuff. And sure enough, as I was filming this, when I got down low, I started feeling it start to rain. And underneath pretty much every leaf on this tree, I have like 4 of these in my yard. This one tree in particular got it real bad. There were all these aphids that were like just kind of flinging, like they fling their butt in the air, and they just shoot like a drop of sugar water or something down below. But, this is, with all these ants running around here, they're not really protecting the aphids, so parasites can actually come in. And I thought this was really neat. It's a shame I didn't actually get this really caught as good as it should have been in action, because this is a parasitic wasp. Basically, what she's here to do is inject every one of these things with an egg. And she needs to be careful as to not inject 2 into one, or, too many eggs into one of these guys here. And, she needs to pick the right age one. She's looking for a whole lot of stuff going on here. And basically, she has a little syringe type stinger, I guess, or proboscis, whatever you call it. And she just like nails it right inside the skull of the thing. And in a couple weeks later, those all hatch out and pretty much solve my aphid problem. Hopefully. If you have aphid problems at your house or in your backyard, there's no real reason to spray things unless it's really high up there and you really want to get at the food, or it's really causing a disease. Otherwise, I just say put a glove on, just go underneath every leaf and just crush them all. See here we have the better image. She did actually inject one in the video, but like as I said, I don't do this justice. You can find videos of that online. Here we have Camponotus subbarbatus, which is another one going after tending aphids at this time. And I was kind of neat to find these on a succulent. Succulents, basically, this is a different type of plant. I'm not up with all my plant stuff, but I believe, like, if I were to pull a leaf off of this plant and just shove it in the ground, it would survive. Just because each of these leaves is basically, like, it has its own water reserve, it has its own everything. And the plant just produces so many of these. They make okay houseplants, so this one is a sedum. I don't think anyone uses those for a houseplant, but, it's, they're pretty good, as far as, everything goes. Another thing that we're coming into just to control the aphids and other insects, even the insects that eat aphids, are praying mantises. We have eggs here, we got little young nymphs, and I have no less than 4 eggs in my yard that I found on various plants from last year. And you can see here I've got like, just like 4 in this shot alone, but like, it's really not uncommon for me to find a couple dozen of these. And here, I just kind of threw this in for the sake of, it being kind of neat. I believe this spider mimics ants, and I believe its actual target is ant brood. So basically what this does, I believe it's mimicking Chromitocastor coraci, or possibly one of the Formicas, or not Formica, possibly one of the Camponotus. What they do is they kind of invade the colony and eat the brood there, but I don't see why that... I don't know if that's their primary diet, but I saw them running around here quite a bit. They're even flaring their, the gaster area of the spider, kind of like how I see Chromitocastor coraci doing. And they kind of just wander around until they find a thing. Again, this is another insect that I really didn't do justice for filming, but you can see it's kind of neat, kind of ant-like. Someone could mistake this for it. Not the best mimic I've seen, but, you get kind of the idea here. So that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. My name is Chris Morrow, and I have a blog, antsbeesbutterfliesnature.blogspot.com. And we're going to watch a wasp chew on a caterpillar here. Like a stick of bubble gum.